welcome to this week's edition of News Extra, the news package that comes to you with an extra touch. The Hamilton has set in here in the nation's capital. I hope it's not too harsh yet at your end. Well, for the northern parts, the cold is setting. Talking of cold, Plateau State is on its own. Tonight we have what is truly extra in our lineup. As usual, we shall start from the beginning as the Federal Executive Council approves the Financial Bill 2020 as well as other memos for the development of the country. The National Assembly is still on course to pass the 2021 Appropriation Bill to protect the January-December cycle. The Umar, his defection saga, and some security issues are on tonight's menu too. And as the countdown to Christmas is on, traffic is already building. How are the roads? We have updates from some parts of the country. Of course, there are stories on agriculture, and you don't want to miss the gold mine, trending these days. Yes, onions. Anyway, it is a bumper production. If you don't believe me, just stay on and see for yourself. After all, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. I am Fatima, Umar, Buba, and this is News Extra. You're welcome. The 2020 Finance Bill, critical to the implementation of the 2021 budget, has been approved by the Federal Executive Council. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, announced this while briefing newsmen after the meeting of the council, presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that, contrary to insinuations in some quarters, the minister was emphatic that neither taxes nor levies will be increased.
The approval of the 2020 Finance Bill followed a presentation of a memo to that effect by the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning in collaboration with the National Fiscal Policy Reform Committee. The bill, developed through a very large multi-stakeholder effort, is to be forwarded to the National Assembly for consideration. It seeks to make incremental changes to the nation's tax laws relating to customs, excise, amongst others, aimed at supporting the implementation of the annual budget.
The broad principle is to consider how we will have adequate macroeconomic strategies to attract investment, to be able to grow the economy on a sustainable basis, but also to create jobs as the immediate fiscal strategies that we need to put in place to accelerate domestic revenue mobilization in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and the recent decline in the economy.
The 2020 Finance Bill also seeks to amend provisions in 13 different tax laws, including company income tax, value-added tax, as well as public procurement and fiscal responsibility acts.
These amendments include providing fiscal relief for corporate taxpayers, for instance, by reducing the applicable minimum tax rate for 2 consecutive years, so from 0.5% to 0.25%. We also made provision to provide an incentive for mass transit by reducing the import duties and the levies for large tractors, for buses and other motor vehicles. The reason for us is to reduce the cost of transportation, which is a major driver of inflation, especially food inflation. We also have proposed measures to create a legal instrument that supports a crisis intervention fund, such as the crisis intervention that we have had to put in place for COVID-19.
The minister explained that the 2020 Finance Bill will, amongst others, reinforce the reduction in taxes effected in the 2019 Finance Act by further removing the 2% education tax being paid by small businesses.
For now, with the economic slowdown, our assessment is this is the time to cut down on taxes, to not increase taxes at all, and also to not increase levies. Again, no increase in taxes, no increase in VAT.
Works and Housing Minister Babatunde Fashola, on his part, presented a 216-page report on the housing sector, highlighting the progress made in respect of the various interventions across the country.
We, as a ministry, are doing our own heavy lifting in order to contribute to national prosperity and the commitment to raise as many as 100 million people out of poverty. So if you see some of what we have done, we've added value, we've created prosperity. Those who did not have COOs now have land that is more valuable because it has title, access to credit also, mortgages, gives you a step towards prosperity, and so on and so forth, apart from direct creation of jobs at our construction sites.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Ihanere, and his water resources counterpart, Suleiman Adamu, who returned from fact-finding missions and engagements with critical stakeholders in their respective states of Edo and Jigawa, in line with presidential directive, briefed the council on the prevailing situation and the best way forward following the wanton looting and destruction of property in the aftermath of the NSAS protests in parts of the country. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
In the meantime, the federal government has disbursed 66.5 billion naira, equivalent to $175 million, to 35 eligible states on the basis of the amended COVID-19 responsive 2020 budget results achievements. Leah Babatunde completes the report.
Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Shamshuna Ahmed, in a statement signed by Hassan Dodo, the ministry's Director of Press and Public Relations, explained that the disbursement followed compliance with the amended COVID-19 responsive 2020 budget by 35 eligible states in the country. The disbursement is under the performance-based grants component of the World Bank-assisted States Fiscal Transparency, Accountability and Sustainability SIFTAS program for results. The program is wholly financed with a $750 million loan from the International Development Association, IDA, a member of the World Bank Group. Each benefiting state received the sum of 1.9 billion naira. River State is the only one that missed out on the grant due to its inability to meet the eligibility criteria, which required the states to have passed and published online on a state's website by July 31, 2020, credible, fiscally responsible COVID-19 responsive amendment 2020 budgets, duly approved by the state's House of Assembly and assented to by the state governor. The pandemic and the associated economic and fiscal shocks, the minister stated, have put significant pressure on states' fiscal resources and undermined the reality and credibility of the state's original 2020 budgets. The World Bank-assisted SIFTAS program is principally meant to strengthen fiscal management at the state level. 24 states had in April 2020 received 43.416 billion naira based on their performance. Leah Katungbaba today, NTA News.
The multidimensional security challenges being experienced require a robust synergy of all key agencies. The House Committee on National Security and Intelligence says this is at the heart of the security reform policy of this administration in fulfilling its constitutional responsibility of ensuring security and welfare of citizens. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports on the committee's budget defense session with agencies.
Of the National Population Commission, Nasiru Isa Kwara, accompanied by some federal commissioners, after a review of the 2020 budget performance, presented a breakdown of the Commission's 2021 budget of 14.3 billion naira. The committee demanded to know the Commission's plans for the completion of the enumeration area demarcation of the remaining 525 local government areas.
The capital projection is 5,902,379,381 naira. This includes a provision for 4.5 billion for the completion of the EAD.
So there must be timelines to deliverables on what you intend to do.
As we all know, the country depends on the Commission for relevant data on infant and maternal mortality, education, employment, infrastructure, gender issues, as well as threshold of citizens.
While some standing committees are putting finishing touches to their budget scrutiny reports, some have started submitting theirs to the Senate Committee on Appropriations.
The budgetary provision for education is not enough. It's not enough. There is no year we don't comment on that.
So that by the year 2022, when you are bringing your budget here, this will be captured into the 2022 budget.
The chairman of the Appropriation Committee says with the progress made so far on the process of the scrutiny of the budget, it's likely that the Senate will be passing the 2021 budget on the 3rd of December 2020. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Well, we apologize for that mix-up. Actually, that was Ignatius Nkwo's report on the National Assembly scrutinizing 2021 budget of the National Population Commission. But Lami Ali's report is ready, so let's take it.
Agencies under the purview of the House Committee on National Security and Intelligence include Office of the National Security Advisor, Department of State Services, Presidential Air Fleet, and the National Intelligence Agency. The committee noted that accountability and transparency in public sector management enhance good governance, which was why budgetary estimates for security remains paramount.
The submission of the status implementation from all security organizations under the jurisdictions of this committee reveal assuring outcomes characterized by diligence and effective National Assembly in the performance of the agencies.
The committee will come up with a work plan to drive the agenda of ensuring peace and security across the country. In another development, the financial investment documents of the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas project pertaining to waste management was the central issue during an investigative hearing by a House of Representatives ad hoc committee.
The federal government has its share in the LNG project. As a parliament, I don't think LNG would say that there are certain documents that cannot be made available to this committee.
Multinational oil companies and the NLNG are to give accounts on why disposal of sludge and waste management were not included in the Train 7 gas project, as they are infringements of environmental protection laws. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
And a bit on security now. The Directorate of Defense Media Operations, DMO, says the land and air component of Operation Thunderstrike have neutralized several armed bandits in a joint offensive operation to clear identified bandits' camp around Kuku area of Kagorko local government area along the Kaduna-Abuja Expressway axis of Kaduna State. DMO Coordinator Major General John Enencha says the operation was executed on 17th November 2020 following credible human intelligence reports indicating that a cluster of huts and other structures at the location served as a hideout for a notorious bandit leader named Major, along with his fighters. 6 Nigerian Air Force aircraft undertaking 5 missions in a total of 13 sorties targeted the cluster of huts housing Major. The attack aircraft hit some of the target structures and neutralized some of the bandits. A second wave of attacks also provided close air support to the land component who destroyed the camp. Willfully or not, the NSAS protest violence has taken a heavy toll on a lot of government and private institutions. Take the justice system. We are told the burning of courts and police stations may have a long-term effect on it. This is coming from legal practitioners practicing at the 3rd Annual Criminal Law Review Conference holding in Abuja. And Femi Okeo tells us all about this.
Last 10 years or thereabouts, the Nigerian judiciary has taken conscious effort to go electronic in its processes and record keeping. But legal practitioners now say the recent NSAS protest has only gone a long way in exposing how far that effort has gone. Treating the topic, updates on electronic evidence on the third day of the Criminal Law Review Conference, law experts said that the burning down of courts along with already admitted evidence and other court records will bring a setback to cases before the courts, particularly criminal matters.
There is the need for judiciary to be protected and to be adequately protected for that matter.
Technology is there. The only question is, do you have the resources to determine it?
They say a stagnation of such judicial matters can be averted if the Nigerian judiciary had a retrieval system or stored court records in the cloud.
This is the time for the judiciary to really utilize its votes for concrete things like that. Every 20 years we come around to situations where courts are destroyed, records are burned.
If society cannot take care of all these things, then it's a failure of a society. If the banks can do it, why wouldn't they fund the judiciary to be able to do that? That is, you dematerialize the documents.
The conference is expected to come up with recommendations in this direction. In Abuja, Femi Okeowo, NTA News.
And the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, is expected to hold a press conference in Abuja on Thursday, 19th of November 2020 on the NSAS protest and its aftermath. The conference is expected to come at the Nigerian Army Resource Center, Mambila Barracks Junction off Maitama Avenue, Asukuru, Abuja by 11 o'clock in the morning. The presidency says the absence of the federal government delegation at the planned meeting with governors and stakeholders of the South-South region was necessitated by an emergency security meeting summoned by the president, certainly not out of disrespect. A statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity indicates that the delegation to the meeting under the Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, ministers and heads of security and intelligence agencies were in full readiness to proceed to Port Harcourt until they were directed to stay back for the emergency security meeting, explaining further that this information and regret for the inconvenience caused were conveyed to the host of the meeting through what was considered to be the right channels. The statement adds that the president is strongly and resolutely committed to hearing from leaders, stakeholders and the youths on burning issues affecting all parts of the Federation, and to this effect, a new date for the meeting with the South-South will be agreed after due consultations with the parties concerned. The presidency expressed its regret over the unavoidable postponement. Like an adage that says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. This scenario played out as the All Progressives Congress is already putting machinery in motion to achieve success ahead of the legislative by-elections rescheduled to hold on the 5th of December 2020. A 7-member campaign council for Cross River North Senatorial District, led by the former Borno State Governor, Senator Kashim Fatima, has been inaugurated, and Salihu Abdullahi Wanara reports.
All tasted hands in this business, so I will not tell you how to do it. All we need is victory.
Indeed, victory is all what the party needs in Cross River, but within the ambit of the law. The chairman, APC Caretaker and Extraordinary National Convention Planning Committee, re-echoed. Represented by the secretary of the committee, the party urged its members to remain focused and be more committed to issues of governance for the good of the citizens.
Let me use this opportunity to advise our leaders to leave the politics of 2023 or governorship permutation aside and throw everything into this election. The victory can only help the 2023 project for whoever God wants.
To the committee, victory as demanded by the party is the only task they have to execute.
Politics is a game of numbers, your ability to mobilize support. Our candidate is well accepted by his people and will work to ensure that we crown his efforts with success.
15 legislative by-elections are expected to hold across 11 states. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari has formally reacted to the defection of Ebonyi State Governor David Umahi to the All Progressives Congress, describing it as a bold move driven purely by principle rather than opportunistic motives. A statement signed by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, the president commended the governor for taking this bold decision in accordance with his conscience and principles rather than any external influence or coercion. He described as gladdening that Governor Umahi cited good governance as a major factor in his decision to join the APC, urging Nigerians to pay less emphasis on identity politics for democracy to make the desired impact on the country. The President Buhari says Governor Umahi might be called names for his courageous decision, but urged him to solace in the fact that he is paying the price men of principles have to pay for acting according to their conscience. The Ebonyi State PDP caucus in the National Assembly has reacted to the defection of the Ebonyi State Governor David Umahi from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress. Says the caucus still remains committed to the PDP. The group stated its position when it briefed National Assembly correspondents on the governor's exit from the party.
For the sake of clarity, we wish to state that not a single member of the Ebonyi State PDP caucus of the National Assembly is defecting to the APC. The 3 senators and 5 House of Representatives members remain proud card-carrying members of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, the platform under which we contested and won elections in 2019.
The caucus is made up of 3 senators and 5 members of the House of Representatives. The Buhari Media Organization, BMO, has described the defection of the governor of Ebonyi State, Engineer Dave Umahi, from PDP to APC as an endorsement of the successes recorded across the board by the President Muhammadu Buhari administration. A statement signed by Ni Akinsuju, the group's chairman, and Kasidi Madueke, its secretary, the group heartily welcomed the Ebonyi State governor to the APC family and congratulated him for a timely departure from the community of underperforming and inequitable-minded politicians. Meanwhile, a chieftain of All Progressives Congress, APC, and Director General of Voice of Nigeria, DG Von, Mr. Osita Okechukwu, has described Governor David Umahi's defection from People's Democratic Party, PDP, to APC on Tuesday, 17th of November 2020 as welcome development. Okechukwu, while congratulating the Ebonyi State Governor for making the bold move, remarked that by joining our great APC at this point in time, Umahi has activated the Zikist Eagle Alliance taking place in the Southeast geopolitical zone. It's that period of the year when reminders on safe use of the roads receives a lot of hype. So fasten your seatbelt as we take our first breather on NewsExtra, because when we return, we are going to hit the road to bring you all the happenings around and heartwarming developments in the transportation subsector. Sit tight as we rejoin you. Welcome back. Nasarawa State government says education sector is top on its priority as Governor Abdullahi Sule presents the 2021 appropriation bill to the State House of Assembly. Ali Tijani Mohammed reports that out of 112 billion naira, 35 billion naira is earmarked for the education sector.
Tagged Budget of Economic Recuperation, the 2021 appropriation bill is predicted on the recurrent economic realities caused by COVID-19 and the recovery plan for next year. Out of the 112 billion naira to be expended next year, 51 billion naira is earmarked for recurrent expenditure and 54 billion naira is for capital expenditure. 7 billion naira goes for consolidated revenue fund charges, debt servicing and pension gratuity. The breakdown of the budget shows that education has the highest allocation of 35 billion naira, with infrastructure having 19 billion naira. The budget is to be funded by Federation allocation and revenue generation as government project and increase internally generated revenue of 3 billion naira monthly.
But this budget is anchored on our collective desire to continue to improve the development landslide for the prosperity of our good people of Nasarawa State, which was indeed started on a good platform by the previous administration of Tanko Al-Makura, and we indeed to continue from there and take it and ensure we exceed expectations.
The legislature promises accelerated hearing on the appropriation bill to enable its implementation commenced by January 2021.
That by ensuring an early presentation of the money bill, the legislature will now have all the time to deliver on its mandate by undertaking a forensic scrutiny of the budget. Yet we are not mindful of the imperative to pass the bill as quickly as possible so that the fiscal cycle of January to December will be entrenched.
The 2021 budget is 4 billion naira higher than the 2020 budget, which was further slashed to 67 billion naira due to the impact of COVID-19. In Lafia, Aliu Tijan Mohammed, NTA News.
Now, it is that time of the year when traffic on Nigerian roads build up, leading to Christmas and the New Year. It is better imagined than experienced if one has to travel on a bad road. For travelers in Kogi State, it is good news as major repairs are ongoing on some federal roads in the state under close supervision by the Federal Ministry of Works. Jacob Sani reports.
Kogi State, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, has more than 1,745 kilometers of federal highways strategically located in the middle belt of the country. Kogi State is a transit route from the north to the southwest and the east. Consequently, there is constant and rapid vehicular movement. As an industrial hub, large numbers of articulated vehicles ply the major roads. Unfortunately, federal highways in Kogi are in deplorable condition.
This route, luckily, is one of those roads that we have also funding. So all we just need is for the contractor to make sure they are working.
And now that the contractor is working to satisfy the needs of Nigerians, we should equally be patient to make use of the road.
Remediation work is now currently ongoing at the Murtala Mohammed Bridge, Jamata, the Abuja-Lokoja Okene Road, and Okene Bypass. All phase sections of the highway will be excavated and repaired. Motorists expressed joy at the ongoing repair work, saying the deplorable state of the roads has negative consequences on the economy.
I appreciate President Muhammadu Buhari.
Appealing for them to do it faster.
Motorists appeal for quick completion of the rehabilitation work to avert untold hardship. Jacob Sani, NTA News.
Well, as it is in Kogi State, so it is in Niger State, as the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing has put modalities in place to ensure all strategic routes in the north-central state are motorable towards a hitch-free Yuletide. A team of engineers is already on the road to assess some of the ongoing roads rehabilitation. And Dauda Mohammed has the report.
Niger State, with the largest network of federal roads in the country, is experiencing challenges of almost impassable routes due to the heavy rainfall of this year and an increase in traffic flow of articulated trucks, causing untold hardship on motorists. With the rains over, the Federal Ministry of Works recently paid contractors who certified works under the Sukuk bond thus an inspection visit to verify ongoing construction. This is Diko Junction in Gurara local government area of Niger State, a popular stopover for motorists coming from Abuja. And in the past, this whole area used to be occupied by shops of people selling vegetables and other perishables. But with the commencement of work on this road, they have now given way for the work to commence in earnest. The team, led by the Director, Highway Construction and Rehabilitation, North Central Zone, Yusuf Jimo Adekunle, was at the Diko Junction, the takeoff point of the 95.4 kilometer Mina Suleja Road, which has been under construction, with pockets of rehabilitation also ongoing on some failed portions.
We are really bothered about what people have passed through before. That's why you can see that right now the contractor is working in different gangs to make sure that in no time this road is good enough for people to move.
As far as the provision is there, we are ready here with equipment, manpower, or whatever is requested.
The 124.8 kilometer Bidda Age Lepai Lambata Highway, another strategic road which provides an alternative for heavy duty trucks, is also receiving attention.
We're very happy because now they allow us free chance to work on Minabida route. You know, without this route, it would have been difficult for us to, block Minabida route. So far, we have achieved about 19 point something kilometers.
The idea is to put all strategic highways across the country in good shape for smooth motoring during this Yuletide and beyond. Dawuda Mohammed, NTA News.
Let's go to the far north now, where motorists plying Kano-Katsina Road are inches closer to a smooth drive on a dual carriageway as work progresses on the dualization project of the existing 78.55 kilometer road, which serves as link between Kano and Katsina State in the northwestern region of the country. And Joseph Johnson has an update on the progress of work.
The road starts from Sanyawa, a border town between Kano and Katsina, and passes through various towns and villages, terminating at Katsina Steel Rolling Mill roundabout in Katsina State. The existing road, with 7.3 meter width carriageway and 1.5 meter shoulders on either side, and has been characterized by numerous failures ranging from potholes, failed pavement structures, age damage of wearing course, cracks of various types, rotting, corrugation, eroded shoulders, and inadequate hydraulic structures, among others. All these are set to change with the recent award of contract for dualization and commencement of work in July this year.
What you are witnessing here now is asphalt work. They have done 10 kilometer asphalt binder course. So for a contractor to achieve within 1 month, because they started the asphalt overlay, not within the last 3 weeks or 2 weeks. So for a contractor to achieve such progress, you know that the contractor is a serious contractor, and we are ready to encourage them.
The scope of works includes the construction of additional carriageway and the rehabilitation of the existing one, which involves asphaltic concrete pavement and construction of 5 bridges.
Delay in compensation, and that is causing the project to move slowly, because like in the whole of Kankia local government, we are not allowed to work. Farmers don't allow us to work. Owners of structures don't allow us to work. Behind us here around Channel 145, we can't work because of the disturbance of the electric poles.
The contractor has since been fully mobilized and engaged in site activities, with a record of 11% project completion and 9.96% time lapse.
Kano Katsina phase 2 dualization is rightly ongoing. The contractor has achieved almost 10.5% completion.
The Federal Ministry of Works is assuring motorists of prompt completion of the project, despite the various logistics challenges which are now being addressed.
We are increasingly witnessing accidents involving heavy-duty vehicles on the highways. Hopefully, the trend will be halted after the 2-week training on repair and maintenance of articulated vehicles holding in Kano. 150 participants drawn from 19 northern states of the country are participating. Awal Salisu tells us about it.
Statistics by the Federal Road Safety Corps indicate that Nigeria lost more than 39 billion naira annually to tanker and trailer-related crashes involving more than 650 heavy-duty trucks, hence the rising concern. This workshop, which attracted participants from the 3 geopolitical zones, is to mitigate public outcry on the rising cases of carnage on the country's highway, which often led to wanton destruction of lives and property. The capacity building program is therefore to expose the technicians to modern technology in the repairs of articulated vehicles, and we are supported with needed sophisticated tools.
Planned and conducted this skills upgrade training for technicians working on such vehicles as part of the Council's contribution towards nipping the problem in the bud.
Bella Umar Muhammad is one of the trainees that come all the way from Zamfara State to garner knowledge, describe the experience as immensely rewarding.
Scanner tools that I was taught that you can easily go to the problem and solve it immediately without wasting much of time.
To save and to create employment for a lot of youth. Because most of our artisans, especially the mechanic that we have today, they don't have working tools, they don't have even the knowledge of what they are doing.
The workshop, which is train the trainer, attracted heavy-duty auto mechanics, auxiliary electricians, among others. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
And from Kano, head to Yola. The Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Buba Oyeyemi, has restated determination to rebuild the Adamawa Sector Command of the Corps, which was attacked by hoodlums during the NSAS protest in the state. He was speaking during a visit to assess the level of damage and looting done to the Sector Command, and Bilkisu Abubakar reports.
Worried by the recent looting of property of offices, vehicles, places of worship, among others, at the Sector Command of the Federal Road Safety Corps in Adamawa, necessitated the visit of Chief Executive and the Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Buba Oyeyemi, to ascertain the level of damage done by hoodlums. The Corps Marshal expressed concern over the damages and make a passionate appeal to both the state and the federal government to intervene with a view to replacing the vandalized equipment. Looting of some properties by hoodlums will no doubt affect the Road Safety Corps from performing its social responsibilities in Adamawa.
I haven't seen this myself because it builds on me to come around and really assess the extent. I've seen it now, and within the next few weeks, I think we carry out some minimum work that we be able to get the commands to commence full patrol activities. But I commend their courage and their steadfastness, and we move on.
The Corps Marshal had earlier called on the State Deputy Governor, Crowder Set, where he appealed to the state government to look into the situation of the Corps in the state. In Yola, Bilkisu Abubakar, NTA News.
Now, if you ask me of initiatives by the federal government to sustain infrastructure development across all sectors with prospects of providing hundreds of job opportunities to young people and bringing economic prosperity to communities across the country, I will say many abound. And this is well understood and appreciated in Nasarawa State as an old railway corridor expected to benefit from approval of contract from the rehabilitation and reconstruction of Port Harcourt to Maiduguri Eastern narrow gauge. Hamza Musa Makarfi, you are in Lafia and you are at the old Lafia station. Can you tell us all about the expectations?
Well, I tell you, Patty, standing on the platform of this old railway station are memories of the unique features and rumbling of train journeys either to Port Harcourt or Maiduguri.
To put in context, the distance to be covered by the new contract of more than $3 billion will be around 2,000 kilometers, including additional new branch lines. traversing the eastern corridor from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri are notable railway towns of Aba, Umar, Zuakwali, Enugu, Makodi, Lafia, Kafanchan, Kuru, and Jos. There are expectations of boosting economic activities, increased output, and facilitating trade, as well as employment opportunities.
I would advise all people who are connected with that project not to relent in their effort, because this line is a very historic line.
Honestly, it is very, very nice. Now, even if it's this old track, old wagons, old this thing, but then let us start using them.
If the railway will be reformed and it pass across Lafia, I believe 1 or 2
Next break that beckons, our correspondent seeks answers to why a popular food ingredient, or should I call it a vegetable, or a spice, or is no longer within the reach of the common man. Well, stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned. Declining revenues saw the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee, FAC, argument from 3 sources to share up funds for distribution at its November meeting in Abuja. Permanent Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Aliu Ahmed, who chaired the meeting, say the funds, coupled with the World Bank intervention, states should have no problems meeting up with salary.
That is one of the reasons why we dipped into the equalization account to augment the distribution for this month.
Stabilization also.
And stabilization account. Overall, the total amount distributed was 604, inclusive of the 20 billion from stabilization account. And we are hoping that, I'm sure you are keeping up with the news of recent distribution of from SIFTAS, a World Bank assisted facility whereby a number of states got a minimum of $5 million. So that should go a long way in supporting the subnationals to pay salaries.
Now let's talk about the federal government's empowerment initiatives geared towards uplifting millions of youths out of poverty and the unemployment cycle. Guests on NTA Studio Live carefully evaluated efforts of federal government in changing this narrative and putting the economy on a steady path of growth. Abubakar Usman Afanga reports.
Each long adage that tomorrow belongs to the youth seems to be fast changing to the reality of having today to fully prepare for a future that is already secured. For uplifting the youth, the productive platform to realize these projects, stakeholders on NTA Current Affairs program Tuesday Live say are provided by the federal government to leverage on for a greater tomorrow.
The future of agriculture is in the hands of the young people. The federal government is doing the necessary investment to make sure that we create the soft database, the soft infrastructure in terms of database that can support the businesses of young people. So for me, I am more confident, honestly, that what federal government has done from June to date in creating this robust database of farmers will go a long way to enable and make sure that the Green Imperative project is a success.
To be candid, one has to give all the necessary kudos to the federal government
for finding agriculture worthy at this point in time. And then the diversification of the economy is very, very important. The price of oil is going, everybody knows, all over the world, the price is going down. And even countries that have better reserves than Nigeria are now thinking of how to diversify.
There is no youth in Nigeria that cannot be accommodated within the agricultural space.
The relaunch of the National Agricultural Land Development Authority, approval of 75 billion naira youth investment fund and other social security and welfare schemes are evidence of federal government commitment to change the narrative.
It was, let me key in, and I did. We assessed that facility, and here we are today in business.
As the thriving youth continued to prosper and blossom on several components of the social investment and agriculture programs initiated to diversify economy and sources of income, the unanimous view of stakeholders here is to build an economy that will guarantee a surplus wealth and engage more youth. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
In the meantime, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has received the report of the Implementation Committee for Post-COVID-19 Initiatives Committee on the creative industry, with the assurance that its implementation will commence in earnest. Anthony Forson reports.
The decision to set up this Youth Engagement Committee was reached at this hall during a meeting of Northern governors with the Senate President. And
well, we apologize for the mix-up in that report. Now let's go to the next one. Northern Governors Forum has inaugurated one of the engagement committees with youths and civil society groups in fulfillment of its resolve to carry the youth along and positively engage them. Umar reports that Chairman of the Forum and Governor of Plateau State, Samuel Lalong, inaugurated the committee in Kaduna.
The Engagement Committee was reached at this hall during a meeting of Northern governors with the Senate President and high-powered federal government delegation a few weeks ago. The chairman of the forum is here again, this time to formally inaugurate the Youth Engagement Committee, headed by the Emir of Zazzau, Nuh Ahmed Bamali.
The youth form a bulk of the population of the region and the nation, and as such have a great role to play in the destiny of this country. Their voices must not only be heard, but their opinions and views should also be carried along in governance.
You are the youth, you are the future of this country, and you hold a very rare and great role in the scheme of things within this country.
With 8 weeks to complete its assignment, the committee is saddled with the responsibility of coming up with laudable initiatives that will unlock the opportunities for youths in the North.
The best in us, so that at least we can come up with something that is a good, for the decision makers at least to utilize and come up with something concrete for the teeming population of the youth in this part of the country.
And the Secretary to the government.
The inauguration is coming with a commitment from the Northern Governors Forum to support the federal government and security agencies in tackling security challenges and create more conducive environment for the youths to actualize their legitimate dreams. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar Ajingi, NTA News.
The federal government has been applauded for approving 25 billion naira to support resettlement drive in Borno State. This includes construction of 10,000 affordable houses and livelihood support. The state governor, Professor Babagana Umar, lauded the federal government's support while inspecting ongoing construction of 1,000 units estate at Dalori in Kwandaga local government area. Mohammed Goni reports.
The situation in the north is gradually improves. There have been agitations on the part of the internally displaced persons to return home to normal life. The ongoing construction of 1,000 houses at Dalori village in Kandaga local government, which has reached 70% completion, is part of the 10,000 houses to be constructed in all affected communities. Residents who spoke to NTA News were full of gratitude to the federal government for the developmental projects which they say will add value to their lives. Governor Umar said,
because of the integrity of this government, the federal government has decided to release the funds to the state government to undertake the project. So the federal government has released about 3.5 billion naira as first phase to start the first phase of the construction exercise. We are here to also let the world know the giant stride by the federal government, and therefore on behalf of the government and people of Borno State, we wish to commend the federal government of Nigeria under the leadership of His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari.
Aside the housing fund, the governor added, federal government has also released 1.3 billion naira to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture to construct ruga farms in the state, as well as 353 million naira to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs as livelihood support to the IDPs. The governor said all the housing estates will be provided with social amenities such as water supply, health care, and other facilities, assuring that Borno State government has been transparent in the execution of those projects assigned. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
Thank you, Mohammed. We'll now take you back to our audio report by Anthony Ferguson.
10th of August, with the mandate to come up with a workable plan on how to provide immediate, short and long-term relief for the creative industry, is also to design a policy framework for tax relief for the various sectors, among others. Chairman of the committee, Olusegun Shewe, while presenting the report, said about 14 clusters were identified and all their submissions captured to cater for all stakeholders.
The immediate, short and long-term remedies for each of these clusters are also noted in the report. And I want to assure you, sir, that the entire stakeholders in the creative industry are extremely very grateful to you.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed, who commended the committee for a thorough job, said the members of the committee have exhibited a high level of commitment in the discharge of their duty.
Also, I learned that the committee engaged with the broad spectrum of the entire creative sector. This action of inclusiveness is most welcome and has been justified by the stakeholders' commendations that poured in through the various media platforms.
Some members of the committee said the minister's initiative to support the industry in a post-COVID-19 era has in no small way raised the hopes of stakeholders and are eager to see the implementation of the report. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Economic diversification has been a familiar phrase in the life of the administration of President Buhari, with agriculture as one of the focal areas. Cross River State, following tactfully in the footsteps of the federal government, is using her agro-industrialization drive to match words with actions. Then Paul Abel reports on fortunes expected from the agro-industrialization policy initiative of Governor Ben Ayadi.
To place the state on a new economic pedestal away from its civil service status, the governor introduced the concept of intellectual money to establish various agro-allied and cottage industries in all 18 local government areas across the 3 senatorial districts of the state. These industries, covering different value chains of rice, cassava, cocoa, maize, groundnuts, oil palm, poultry, among others, include the Ayade Industrial Park, housing the Instant Noodles Factory, Chicken Processing Factory, Rice Seeds and Seedling Factory, Feed Mill in the Southern Senatorial District.
I know that Mr. President is fully in support of the government of Cross River State, particularly when it comes to agro-industrialization, which is his own baby.
At Etara community, we have acquired 7,000 hectares of land. All these activities are deliberate to make us #1 in the world, not just in Nigeria.
Some of these industries have been completed, waiting investors' involvement to kickstart production, while others are at various levels of completion. But what are the benefits of these industries After all,
so we have created a new value chain in a beneficiation process for young men and women to go into into maize cultivation, soya bean cultivation, because that's what we need to put into the feed mill to produce the feed that will feed the birds, that the birds will come here for slaughter and process as frozen chicken for domestic and external consumption.
My message to the governor is that he should keep on being the leader that he is. He should keep on leading the people to the better place.
Lord, I pray God will bless him and more wisdom for him to do his work as he's in the seat.
We are looking forward to producing chocolate bars in Cross River State.
So I want to call on all the youths in Cross River State, to call on all the stakeholders in Cross River State to bear with the governor, and that the unemployment problem we are currently facing now in Cross River State will soon be a thing of the past.
apart from patronage by various states on the rice seedlings and plans to export other items, the state government has also provided agricultural equipment to assist farmers in land clearing, harvesting, as well as rehabilitate government-owned moribund cocoa estates with replanting at Etun local government area. Economic watchers are of the view that the agro-industrialization initiative, if given the required ardent attention, it will not only impact the state on the path of economic prosperity, but the country as well. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
Key players in the food processing sector are collaborating to ensuring food security and sufficiency with the use of technology to promote this quest. The Tertiary Education Trust Fund was at the Federal Institute of Industrial Research, Oshodi, Lagos, to fine-tune partnership. Diane Ajali reports.
The visit of the members of Tertiary Education Trust Fund Committee to Firo is to ensure seamless cooperation between the industry, academia and the government to ensure international standard in food processing and packaging, which will in turn cushion the effects of unemployment as well as contribute to economic growth.
We should not just rely on the export of agricultural raw materials, and we want to export our yam, cocoa, etc., etc. We must add value to them.
Part of what we are looking at is ensuring that Firo equally produce at the global standard, so the product can compete favorably anywhere in any part of the world.
Management of the institute expresses readiness to align with positive ideas that will move the industry forward.
We need to go into a lot of public-private partnership. That will give us more coverage. We have a myriad of so many products.
Federal Institute of Industrial Research, Oshodi, has been providing technology since 1956 to micro, small and medium scale as well as large scale industries in Nigeria, and has played a major role in transforming about 70% of such enterprises, particularly those in the food and beverage sector in the Southwest geopolitical zone. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
Food is one of man's basic necessities. However, to make it more appetizing, condiments like onions are added to give it great taste. Onions has trended on the social media of recent. In fact, some have termed it the agric gold. Slicing onions usually brings tears to the eyes. Well, these days, without cutting the vegetables, tears are streaming down the cheeks of Nigerians on account of the current cost and scarcity of onions. But truly, what's going on? Well, Musa Baba Aliu went out in search for answers.
Onion is one of the most important and cheapest ingredients in major meals consumed by Nigerians. Women, who are naturally the chefs and custodians of the kitchen, described a dish prepared without onions as tasteless.
Before you cook, you produce the start from the onions before you start to cook. So you cannot cook without onions.
Yes, without it you cannot cook. More especially women, you must have it in your kitchen.
As important as the vegetable is, access to it is gradually becoming difficult and beyond the purchasing power of most families. At this market located in Maraba, Nasarawa State, A bag of onion that was 20,000 naira 2 weeks ago now goes above 50,000 naira. And you need to have at least 1,000 naira to get a small portion like this one.
Very expensive. I think it's up to 100% addition to the former price.
As the onion is there like this, we just divide it so that we manage it small, the way the thing it is now.
This one I'm buying 1,000 naira now, but now it's 1,000 naira. Normally it's supposed to be 500 naira initially, but now it's 1,000 naira per one.
3 factors were said to be responsible for the high cost of onions this year. The first is the insecurity in some farming communities in Maiduguri, Kaduna, and parts of Sokoto states. The second factor is the high cost of transportation. And the third one is the farmers switching to other commodities that are profitable at the moment, such as rice and wheat. I visited Alero in Kebbi State, the largest onion market in Nigeria. The market is empty. On a normal day, more than 10 trucks loaded with onion do leave the market. However, what is available at the moment is not up to 10 bags.
No onions for Maiduguri, no for Baga, no for Mangono. After that one, Kuma, now many farmers no go farm onions, now rice than the farms. Because of that, onions now is very costly.
There is the hope that the market will be once again flooded with onions as the dry season harvest of the produce is expected in the next 40 to 60 days. For now, lovers of onions will have to either bear with the high cost of the vegetable or manage to cook without it. And when you are served with suya, you should know that onions are no longer free. From Aleru, Kebbi State, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Thank you so much, Musa Baba Aliyu, for the answers, because see, I'm a lover of onions, so I pray it's it gets available so soon. Now, the fight against illicit drugs is gaining momentum as the Lagos State Command of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, records its largest single seizure of over 5,371 kilograms of cannabis sativa, worth more than 50 million naira. Adeola Komiakere reports that one suspect was arrested in connection with the crime, while other suspects are at large.
Officers and men of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, after intelligence reports, carried out 1-month surveillance on a notorious drug syndicate that operates between Lagos and Osun states. The surveillance, however, paid off on the 17th of November 2020, when over 5 tons of cannabis sativa was seized after 7 hours of raiding the location in Ayobo area of Lagos. And the suspect, Promise Achuenu, was arrested while other members of the syndicate fled.
We are very happy that we've been able to remove it out of circulation and then save the teeming population of Lagos from the dangers involved in drug use. From investigation so far, we noticed that criminal-minded elements are using the low level of security presence in the state to perpetrate criminal activities.
The 47-year-old suspect, who had conflicting stories, claimed he was just a conductor of the vehicle and had no prior knowledge of the goods to be conveyed.
When they call me, I can't go there. When I reach there, I can't notice this I won't carry, and my days were finished before I reached there. I even begged them to give me more, they not agree. So I have no option. That's why I can't carry on.
State Commander NDLEA did not just speak on the health implication of using hard drugs, but emphasized on the negative impact it has on the nation's economy. He appealed to the public to continue to furnish the agency with useful information that will lead to the arrest of criminals. In Lagos, Adeola Komiakere, NTA News.
So far, so good for us here on NewsExtra, but not so good for some candidates who sat for this year's WAEC. Graduates without results. What went wrong? Details when we return in a moment. The results depict something worrisome, an increase in the number of withheld results. Hingina John Adams gives us the analysis of the outcome.
Despite challenges that came with the COVID-19 pandemic, which hit hard on the education sector, leading to closure of schools, as well as the initial
to run the process when fully executed.
Over the years, paperwork has been dominating the running of government activities in ministries, departments, and agencies. Efforts are, however, in recent times been put in place by government to change this trend in line with the Federal Civil Service 2017-2020 strategy and implementation plan to breed epic civil servants. This memorandum of understanding is to fast-track the process of full digitalization of government activities towards pursuing a public and civil service that is strong and effective in response to modern challenges.
It therefore means that new strategies, processes, and innovations must be adopted to enable us to define governance for improved quality of service and economic development.
Nigerian public servants must be efficient, they must be productive, they must be incorruptible, and must be citizen-centered.
For the leader of the delegation, Benga Oyewole, the MOU is in response to government's public-private partnership policy.
It will be easy to key into the development in the government cycle and also global development, the new normal.
So we need to put them in the appropriate position to be able to even achieve the digitization properly.
A digital innovation conference that will further strengthen the process has been approved by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, for the first quarter of 2021.
We are saying, let's bring the energy of our youth, their skills, let's bring them to positive use and not destructive one.
With the development, Nigerians are expected to be better served for national development. Adebola Brooks Sunday, NTA News.
In another development, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, says the agency is working assiduously to strengthen institutions for disaster management and promote mechanism for disaster risk transfer, as well as collaborate and coordinate with all humanitarian actors. Director General, National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Air Vice Marshal Mohammed stated this at the maiden general meeting with staff of the agency, where he promised to consolidate on staff welfare and manpower development in all specialization. Ilyasu Aliyakubu reports.
The meeting generally x-rayed the interventions, response on disaster management championed by the Director General of the agency, with priority given to disaster risk reduction, which promote proactiveness rather than being reactive in the usual approach. Few among some of the achievements on disaster management in recent times include awareness campaign that targeted 100% Nigerians on reducing the risks of flooding and other disasters, quick response to all catastrophic disasters, as well as mainstreaming and integrating disaster risk reduction within and across all sectors, among others. Director General, National Emergency Management Agency, while congratulating staff of the agency for the resilience and commitment to duty, promised to consolidate on the gains of the 2020 interventions.
NEMA also activated emergency operation centers in 12 states faced with challenges of flood to properly coordinate and deploy relevant support for the affected persons. The activation of the EOCs meant that NEMA was fully on the ground with stakeholders working with SEMAs and state governments to strengthen local efforts for comprehensive response to the flood.
The meeting also highlighted some of the support and encouragement by the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, as well as other donor agencies in the management of disasters across the country. In Abuja, Ilyasu Aliyakubu, NTA News.
And what's up in the world of sports? We take a look at that after the last time out before we end 8 nights.